Okay, let's talk power rankings after Portimao. Good weekend of racing, enjoyed all 3 races, and definitely have started to see a bit more clarity on who's going to be contenders and who isn't, especially in MotoGP. I mean, we're going to go through it all now. And before we get to number 10, actually, we've got 2 riders who've dropped out of our top 10 for this week. Darren Binder, who last week was at number 9, didn't retain his spot in the top 10 this week after a tough weekend with, I'm sure you all saw it. And Jorge Martin, big old George Martin, unfortunately didn't get to start the race. Pretty bad accident, had a couple of surgeries I think, and don't even know if he's going to be back for the next one. Dropped him out. He was in 6th last time, so it was a long drop out, maybe a bit harsh. Considered him leaving in at 10, but you'll see from who's at 10 I needed to get this guy in there. So let's get into it. So at number 10, the reigning and defending Joan Mir. I think he's really setting up now. Really setting up that title run. He's just priming himself, just placing himself there. Should have had a podium in Qatar. First race, fluffed the final corner. Other than that, he was second. He was the second quickest guy that day. Had a bit of damage limitation, round 2. Hey, that's the Joan Mir style. You got to do that when you want to win the world title. Your bad days are kind of just not that bad. That's what you need. Does his thing on Sunday. No one was going with Quartararo on Sunday. Rins tried to. Mir just did the smart thing. He goes, I'm going to settle in for maybe a 4th or 5th here. Found a little bit of pace at the end of the race. Zarco and Rins go down. Takes 3rd. Happy days. Mir's just going to do this all season now. This is it. This is it for Mir. He's just going to plug away. He's going to get to circuits where he's the quickest guy, and he's going to try and win those races. But for now, he'll just take his points, he'll bank them, and just trust that Yamaha might have those bad days. So yeah, Joan Mir at number 10, debuting in the power rankings for this season. At number 9, another debut in the power rankings from Moto2, which was a good race too. I really enjoyed this one. Raul Fernandez, good performance I thought, and he's building as well, this kid. He is building to something. He's going to be right up there all season. I can't see him dropping off. I mean, you know that team, they're always there, they're always quick. And with Lowe's going down, turn 1, it really has set up him and Gardner, but with a race win here, Raul Fernandez really building into something. And this takes us into number 8, holding position this week. Remy Gardner retains position, leading the World Championship now. You might think that might be enough to get him up a spot, but he hasn't won a race yet, so just holding firm in 8th, solid, really solid. And I think it sums up his season so far, it's just solid. He's doing what he needs to do. He's always in the conversation. He's always there right towards the end of the race. He's not finished that far off. He admitted he made a few mistakes in that race. I think he would have been confident that he was a real big chance to win that race, especially after his performance there last season. But it just didn't happen for him this weekend. But look, on a weekend where he's made mistakes, he rallied late in the race, got his elbows out, pushed Joe Roberts out of the way, said, I'm on the podium, I'm the World Championship leader. And I really enjoyed that. I was really chuffed with that, being a Remy fan. And I think if he keeps doing that, it's very, well, we've mentioned him already earlier today, Joan Mir. It's very Joan Mir like. If you're just not there to win the race, make sure you pick up 3rd or 4th place. And if you can pick up a place late in the last lap by just getting your wheel underneath someone's shoulder, then get in there, take it. They're your points. They belong to you. And Remy's done that in the weekend. I think he holds his place there. I think he's been excellent. So, yeah. But he'll need to watch out for Raul Fernandez because this kid's coming. At number 7, we've got another rider retaining his place from last week. It's Aleix Espargaro. Really good performance again. This guy's showing a lot. The Aprilia, we still don't actually know. I mean, it could be a podium contention bike, but we don't know how good it could be, because he doesn't have a teammate to compare to. But we can just take it on face value that he's outriding his teammate by a lot. He's picked up, I think that's his equal best result for Aprilia, and their equal best result since returning to MotoGP with this project. And I just think he's doing a great job. Just think he's doing an excellent job. Top ride again. Was there all weekend with that kind of pace. I mean, riding the wheels off it, really. And just banks another really good points haul. Has him sitting 6th in the World Championship, I think. And number 6, we have a first rider still in the top 10 that has dropped from his position last week. We've got Sam Lowes, who I had at number 3 in the power rankings last week, being the most dominant rider over the first 2 rounds across all 3 classes by far. Led start to finish in the first 2 races. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was his, what happened in that first corner, but, he got in a bit hot or someone came across him or whatever. The bike's thrown him off when he's tried to pull it up. And like I said, bike cutting across him, had to pull it up sharp. Unfortunate, he probably would have been there for a podium had he stayed on or not had that issue at the start. No doubt he would have been on that pace and put a bit of pressure on, those guys in that fight. But yeah, unfortunately crashed. Didn't see the second corner, really. So down 3 places, he's at number 6. And number 5, and he is back, ladies and gentlemen. We thought maybe he was gone away, but he hasn't. He stayed with us. Maverick Viñales is back to his best, back to doing what it is that he does better than anybody else in MotoGP. It's being the quickest guy without compare in race 1, just rode the perfect race, and then by race 3, lap 1, he's gone from 12th to 20th. He's ended up just dragging himself up just outside the top 10, but he was nowhere near it. Just what he does, isn't it? He's back to that. I am always quite critical of Viñales. And I think he seems like a really nice guy. He's down 1 position, by the way, from last week. He was at number 4 last week. He's only dropped 1 because I couldn't justify bringing up Aleix, Remy, Ralph Fernandez or Mir from so low down so high. And putting them above him because he still has won a race this year. And Sam Lowes, I decided to drop him 3 just because Maverick stayed on his bike, so he's ahead of Lowes. I mean, I could easily swap that. In fact, I probably should have, but I was really underwhelmed by Maverick. I've given him the benefit of the doubt, and that he's ended up finishing 11th when he was 20th at the end of the first lap. I mean, I guess that's okay, but it's just nothing. Just nothing from Maverick this week, and it's a bit disappointing that you kind of expect that. But yeah, I'm sure I'm no doubt he'll probably go and win another race this year or 2, but he'll also finish 11th probably like 3 more times, so can't do that when you're trying to win the world title, Mav, especially when your teammate is acing at the front. At number 4, now this is a big rise. He's up 6 places. Was at 10 last week. I had him just squeezing it at 10 just from consistent-ish kind of performances. I've got Pecco Bagnaia. Really impressed. I mean, I guess this applies to Maverick as well, benefit of the doubt as well, because he would have qualified quite well if it wasn't for the penalty and the lap getting discounted, and he ended up starting 12th. Pecco's had to start, I think he started 11th, I think. Would have been on pole, if not for the yellow flag thing, and fair enough. The yellow flag. It's unlucky, but you've got to slow down in the yellow flag zone. He didn't. You lose your lap. That's just the way it is. It is unlucky. But then to do the opposite of Maverick, where he could have shut up shop and had a shit race, he just had a great race, actually. And again, helped a little bit with the amount of guys that went off in front of him, but you've got to be there. And he still had the pace to go past Mir and stuff like that. So really top ride. Really top. I've got him up to number 4. Really good performance. He's on it. He is on it, this kid, and I think he's definitely shaping as a title contender. He's going to be leading Ducati this season for sure, with Miller having his issues. So, yeah, Pecco at number 4. Number 3, I've got Johan Zarco. Again, could have easily swapped these 2, but Johan, 2 podiums, having a good season, was running near the front, riding well, came off. Benefit of the doubt, he stays at 3 just because I could hardly have Bagnaia go from 10th to 3rd. I mean, I could have, but I didn't. And everyone else around him is also dropped, so Sam Lowes and Maverick Viñales have all dropped down as well, so it's kind of held him in 3rd place here for me. He's still in a good position in the championship. I just wasn't as disappointed with him as I was with Maverick, so I guess that's why he's still ahead of him. On to number 2 now, and the kid's a gem. I thought he might be a gem, and we all thought it, and we're like, just hold off maybe 1 more week. Is this kid the best thing since sliced bread? Yes, he is. Pedro Acosta. What a ride. Unbelievable again. Cracking race again. I know it helped out by the fact that like your Binders and McPhees and all that started at the back. It takes a couple of competitors out, but I mean it's not like he wouldn't have been there anyway. He won it from the pit lane last time, so your argument's void, really. I had him at 5 last week for that effort coming from the pit lane. He's up to number 2 in the power rankings because he is pure power, this kid. He takes no prisoners on that circuit. He does not give a shit who's around him. He is winning that race. What a fucking ride. This kid's got it all. I love this guy. I love him. He's brilliant. Moto3 on a Sunday morning when I get up, that's what I'm looking forward to. What my first thought is like, yes, Moto3s are on at 11 or what time they're on. I'm just like keen as mustard to see this kid race. He's got me tuning in. It's shades of young Rossi back there when you used to tune into that when I was a kid. I wasn't even staying up for the MotoGP race at night. I was watching Rossi and I was going to bed. I'd be doing the same for him now. Class. I hope he keeps going. I hope it's not just like he's had a couple of fluke races. I don't think he is. I think he's genuinely got the quality. He looks extremely confident on the bike and during the race. I don't think that's going to stop soon. It's real. And confidence breeds success. And number 1, obvious one. He was number 1 last week. He's just gone and dominated again. It's Fabio Quartararo. Great weekend. Did the job. Had to do the job. Did it. And when your teammate's 20th at the end of the first lap and you go on and win the race, you are well ahead. Does this mean Yamaha is going to be the best bike this year because they won every race? I know Portimao is different and they weren't really that competitive at Portimao last year. So is this the acid test? Are they back? Maybe? I don't know. But certainly is a good sign. Has to be title favourite right now. And even Mark's going to have trouble catching him this year, even if he fires it up and gets it hooked up and gets his arm back to strength. He's going to have trouble catching Quartararo because in the races he's looking awesome. His lap times were insane. He was almost lapping at qualifying pace, in the race. And you're just not going to beat a guy doing that. And Rins tried to keep up with him and see what happens. Rins just need to settle in and accept the fact he was going to get done by 5 seconds that day. If you try and go with him, if you tried to go with him on Sunday, you weren't. It just wasn't going to happen. So top ride, number 1 in the power rankings, Fabio Power. And on that, guys, that's the power rankings for this week. Yeah, who would you have higher? Who would you have lower? Who would you have not in there at all? Who's not in there that should be in there? As always, let me know. And just quickly, we'll run through a few honourable mentions from the weekend. Brad Binder had a great race. Taka Nakagami after his big old stack. I think it was on Saturday morning he had that one. Great recovery. Finished 10th. Who else have I got here? Frankie Morbidelli. Great recovery. Good comeback. He's been... SRT has been having a shit one in the first 2 races. Really nice recovery by them to come 4th. They'll be really buoyed by that. Nadia Bastianini picks up another top 10 finish. He's looking the real deal. Really looking the real deal. I'm telling you, if he keeps that up, he'll be showing up in the power rankings soon. And then quickly, just on Marquez, I don't think he could have been happier. And I don't think he could have expected more. I think if anyone was expecting more, it would have been a bit much. I think his qualifying result flattered him, and I think people maybe were thinking podium, or at least top 5 or top 6 because he qualified 6th. Didn't have 6th position pace, 2 lap times getting cancelled that were both quicker than his. So say those 2 guys had a clean lap, they're starting up on the front row. Oliveira crashes at the start of his second run, I think. So he doesn't get to bang in his quick time. So you really should have been starting 8th or 9th or towards the bottom of the top 10. And then in the race, he's had 3 guys go down in front of him. I mean, if he stayed on his bike and they didn't, then fair enough. You should be in that position. So 7th is fair, but on pace alone, he probably is maybe again towards the bottom of the top 10, 8th or 9th. But that's not to take away from his performance. I thought it was really good. But my point is that I think that is as good as he could possibly have hoped for. And I think he will be extraordinarily stoked. Literally, he would have only finished higher if he had more people crash in front of him. He was never going to go and finish ahead of anyone else there. And had Rins, Miller, Zarco all stayed on their bike, he never would have had the pace to go with them either. That's really it. A couple of dishonourable mentions for guys that aren't in there. Miller, obvious one. really needs to sort his shit out, because had decent pace on the weekend, could have come home, around, maybe with Morbidelli or Binder, just have a safe, just bank the points. Especially with when you've had a tough 2 rounds, could have just banked those points. Another dishonourable mention. I mean, I won't say Rins. I mean, he binned it, but he gave it a crack. I like to see you guys having a go. Zarco, when you're the championship leader, don't go down. Again, same thing, bank your points, get over the line. Or Oliveira, home race. I don't know if we expected more from him, but when Binder had such a good race, like we'll come from 15th to 5th, kind of just want to be at least there with him. So yeah, unlucky to him. I mean, the crash is always harsh. Some of them look like the bikes were just dropping away out of nowhere, like the circuit's bumpy, and I know a little bit's like, just unlucky. You pinch a little bit harder on the brake or something like that, 1% different, and your front end's gone. So I'm not be too harsh on these guys, but you have to say someone did shit, right? And, I guess it's them. Looking forward to the next race. I think we've got a week off now, which is good. So we can catch our breaths a little bit and settle in and focus on the next one. I think we're off to Jerez, and that will be a test, because Portimao's probably just gonna win that too. I mean, it's a Yamaha is pretty decent there as well. Well, they won there twice last year, so Yamaha is going to be strong there. So we're at least another race away from Yamaha having a bad circuit. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you watched through the end, really appreciate you spending your time with me here talking MotoGP. Watch another video. I'll just link one here, random one. Click on that too. Watch as many of my videos as many times as you can. Help out the channel. Enjoy your weekend off, and we will see you on the next one, as always.